Well, we apologize for some technical difficulty there, so we're going to jump into sports tonight. Mark Loisel unable to be here tonight, so Nick Lovett, take it away with tonight's sports report. Nick?
Thanks, Alex. Well, Mark won't be able to join us tonight, so I'll be bringing you the latest sports news from a national and a campus-wide perspective tonight. We'll take a look at the busy NHL trade deadline as I have thoughts on the big deals and the day's winners and losers. Candace Tibbetts will fill us in on the madness that has sprung into April, and there will be an update on Springfield College's own. The Boston Bruins in the NHL in general has received a bit of a whiplash from the ongoing and shortened season. That being said, the NHL trade deadline did not disappoint the fans of the best game on ice. From the Rangers to the Bruins and to the Penguins, exciting moves took place in the last week. I have more on the Bruins' acquisition of Jaromir Jagr and the rest of this week's trades.
The 2013 NHL trading deadline appeared to be a dull one on Wednesday afternoon. That is, up until the final hour. But the moves didn't just occur yesterday. They've been going since March the 24th. The Pittsburgh Penguins began loading up when they added Dallas Star captain Brendan Morrow in exchange for top defensive prospect Joe Morrow. The next day, the Penguins would add top shutdown defenseman Douglas Murray for a pair of second-round picks from the San Jose Sharks, and then they would go on to add elite power forward Jarome Iginla from Calgary for a package that included 2 prospects and a 2013 first-round draft choice. The Penguins also yesterday acquired forward Jussi Jokinen from the Carolina Hurricanes for a conditional draft choice. Pittsburgh already had a lineup that was easily going to compete for the Stanley Cup this year, but now there was no doubt in anybody's mind with the additions of Murray, Morrow, Iginla, and Jokinen that this Pittsburgh team is now the favorite in the NHL. They weren't the only team to make ads, however. The St. Louis Blues, who were fighting for a playoff spot, acquired defenseman Jordan Leopold from Buffalo for a second and a fifth-round pick back on March the 30th, and then on April 1st, they acquired star defenseman Jay Bouwmeester from Calgary for 2 prospects and a conditional first-round pick. The Blues are fighting for a playoff spot, and both defensemen will help out with their issues, especially with goalie Yaroslav Halak injured for the next 3 weeks. Another team in the Central that added was the Chicago Blackhawks. The top team in the West added depth forward Michael Handzus from San Jose for a 4th-round pick. Robin Regehr is on his way to the defending Stanley Cup champion LA Kings. They acquire him from Buffalo for 2 second-round draft choices. The Boston Bruins made an addition. They thought they had Jaromir Jagr, and they were able to pull him out after failing to acquire Jarome Iginla. The Bruins got Jagr from Dallas in exchange for forwards Cody Payne and Lane McDermott at a conditional second-round pick. The Bruins would later go on yesterday to add veteran depth defenseman Wade Redden from St. Louis. Vancouver's gearing up for a potential another run at a cup. They acquired center Derek Roy for prospect Kevin Contowain and a second-round pick from Dallas, who was in full-on sell mode. The Canadiens added veteran depth defenseman Davis Jawiski from Los Angeles, and the New York Rangers made the biggest splash on deadline day. They acquired Ryan Clough from the San Jose Sharks for a second, third, and a conditional second-round draft choice on Tuesday night. Clough scored 2 goals Wednesday in his Ranger debut. But they weren't done there. The Rangers had the biggest trade of the day yesterday when they acquired forwards Derek Brassard and Derek Dorsett, along with top defensive prospect John Moore and a 2014 draft pick from Columbus for 40-goal scorer Marian Gaborik in a move that shocked the hockey world. Top rookie forward Corey Conacher is on his way to Ottawa. He was traded from Tampa Bay in exchange for potential starting goalie Ben Bishop, while other teams also made additions, like Edmonton, who's fighting for a playoff spot. They added depth forward Jared Smithson. San Jose added depth defenseman Scott Hannon. The Bruins, as I mentioned, added Wade Redden. The New Jersey Devils were able to acquire forward Steve Sullivan, while teams like San Jose got Rafi Torres, Columbus added Blake Como, and the Toronto Maple Leafs got defenseman Ryan O'Byrne. Another major move was Jason Pominville. The Sabres captain was moved off to Minnesota, along with a 2014 draft choice for prospect goalie Matt Hackett, forward Johan Larsson, and a 2013 first-round pick, along with a 2014 second-round pick. There were a lot of winners on deadline day. The biggest one in my mind, though, the New York Rangers. They get that depth back that made them so good last year and got them to the East Finals. Buffalo's jump-started their rebuild as well, acquiring multiple draft choices and solid prospects, while Columbus appears to finally be going for it as they've acquired Marian Gaborik. And, of course, the biggest winner is the Pittsburgh Penguins. For SCTV3, I'm Alex Thomas.
Kevin Ware's broken leg injury was one of the down moments in the 2013 March Madness tournament, and trust me, it was disgusting. But there's less gory events still to come. As Syracuse, Louisville, Wichita State, and Michigan get set for their games in the near future, here is Candace Tibbetts with the Final Four previews.
From 16 to 8 to 4, men's basketball has been on an emotional journey to the Final Four, and on Saturday we will find out who will play in the 2013 championship game. Louisville, Syracuse, Wichita State, and Michigan have played their hearts out and endured an emotional roller coaster that led them to the Final Four. But this year is different. Two of the teams, Wichita State and Michigan, haven't been to the Final Four in years. Then there's Syracuse, who will play their last Final Four game in the Big East Conference. And Louisville, who beat Duke after the emotional injury and loss of Kevin Ware for the season. Then there are the teams that people expected to see, like number 2 Georgetown, Gonzaga, Kansas, and Duke. This has been an unpredictable and exciting year for college basketball, but the journey is not over yet. Only 2 games left to see who will be in the championship game this Monday night. The first matchup of the night is number 1 Louisville of the Midwest and number 9 Wichita State of the West. Wichita State is good. They prove that to us. But are they good enough to beat number 1 Louisville? This is the first time Wichita State has been to the Final Four since 1965, and they are proving themselves with great defense and constant pressure in the backcourts. They force their opponents into difficult shots and have great three-point scoring defense. They also stop the other teams from scoring inside. Carl Hall blocked 14.6% of his opponent's shots. The Shockers only allowed Ohio State 2 out of the 10 shots between the arc and the paint. Then there is Malcolm Armstead, a key player to the team. Will this Cinderella story team outplay the others and get a trip to the championship game? The Shockers will be a tough opponent for Louisville. But will they be tough enough? Number 1 Louisville has proved their toughness after the emotional recovery following Kevin Ware's brutal injury. The team has won 14 straight games since the 5-overtime thriller against Notre Dame. The Cardinals' defense is ranked second nationally in defensive turnovers, 27.5%. This allows the team to disrupt and turn them into baskets at the other end. Louisville allowed the Blue Devils only 2 out of 11 catch-and-shoot jump shots. The Cardinals look better than everyone else, but that doesn't mean that they will beat Wichita State. The second matchup of the night will be Syracuse from the East and Michigan from the South. Syracuse will be playing their last game in the Big East since they will be joining the ACC next season. All 4 of Syracuse's opponents have shot less than 28% outside the paint. This means their defense is good. Syracuse scored 19 points out of Marquette's 14 turnovers in the Elite 8 game. With the help from Carter Williams, who has been a key player to their offense, he recorded 19 assists and 9 turnovers. With their tough defense and amazing athleticism at any position, Syracuse will be a tough opponent for Michigan. But that doesn't mean to count Michigan out. It is the first time Michigan has been to the Final Four since 1993. For a school that is known for their football, this basketball team has made a big impact this year, especially with powerhouse Trey Burke, who is arguably the best player in America. He can drive, score, and hit shots from the perimeter. In their Elite 8 game against the Florida Gators, the Wolverines forced 15 turnovers and held them to 59 points. The journey to the championship game will come to an end for 2 teams, and I predict that those 2 teams are Wichita State and Michigan. Although Wichita State has a great run, I don't think they have the ability to keep up with Louisville, whose unstoppable defense creates pressure and turnovers. As for Michigan, they need more than Trey Burke to stop the amazing offense of Syracuse, not to mention their inconsistent defense that will not hold back Carter Williams, which is what they need to do if they want to win. Catch the Final 4 games this Saturday to make your own prediction and see who makes it to the championship game. For SCTV3, I'm Candace Tibbetts.
In campus sports news, your Springfield Pride have been making noise in this spring season. Top-ranked men's volleyball team is currently on an 18-game winning streak, and as the season dwindles down, the Pride will look to defend their title in the postseason. Onto the diamond, Springfield's baseball team has posted a 6-9 record, previously defeating Clark University 3-0. They won today 3-1 against Clark once again. Recently, pitcher Alex Williams received NUMAC Baseball Pitcher of the Week honors. Changing genders, the softball team has been trying to find their momentum and will look to start it up in 2 doubleheaders on Friday and Saturday. Check the times on the Springfield College Athletics page online. Going on to the track and field, recently John Dayton was honored with NUMAC Men's Field Athlete of the Week. The junior recorded a toss of 54.8 meters in the first meet of the 2013 season. Onto the turf, Lacrosse defeated Regis 26-3. They will look to take on MIT Saturday at 3 p.m. Changing genders once again, women's lacrosse has recorded a 5-5 record, and they will take on Babson at 12 p.m. on Saturday to hopefully rise to over a 500 record. Go root for your pride in the upcoming games. That'll do it for Night Sports. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Nick. With Macklemore demanding the spotlight in Seattle, it's been difficult for anyone else from that area to get the attention. Connor Getz gives us a more in-depth look at some more undiscovered talent in the Northwest. Let's check it out.
Nowadays, when people bring up Seattle music, there's only one person that pops into everyone's minds, Macklemore. With his thrift shop style, fresh originality, and passion for portraying his opinions on national controversies through songs, he and friend producer Ryan Lewis have taken the country by storm as of late. It's not that Mac's getting too much attention, or even all of it for that matter. He's just become more mainstream and easily recognized compared to other guys from the Northwest. That's why it's no wonder people might scratch their heads when Raz Simone in his latest musical drop, the Solomon Samuel Simone EP, is mentioned as another of Seattle's great up-and-coming artists. In and of himself, Raz is a very interesting individual. As a young child, he sang in church, and his musical career was built on his love of poetry and his works for school. His poetry slams were eventually applied to musical tracks in which he raps with a raspy voice that makes him sound like an old man, which may be fitting because of the amount of wisdom and love evident in so many of his songs. From his videos, he may look like the typical image of a rapper. Gold chains, rings, jewelry, crew always with him, but when you listen to the content he puts forth, the image suddenly changes. His ability to remove himself from the image bestowed upon rap, the past, present, and future, and put together songs built from his own experiences with no bias and just lessons is almost unheard of in rap today. In a lot of ways, he is an excellent teacher through a medium many of us understand best. In the lead-off track, These Kids Throw Rocks, Raz starts out with addressing his elderly characteristics, including the raspy voice, and eventually moves to talking about the stresses life causes, needing the bad to appreciate the good, weeding out loyal friends from fake ones, and struggling to succeed in the Seattle music scene. The EP is kicked off with a mellow beat that is a theme throughout its entirety and is made with just drums, saxophone, and airy synths. Cold was the first song video released months before the album. The quiet synth, crisp drums, and bass guitar set the perfect stage for Raz to let loose about controversies and concepts that can make people and the world cold. From topics like premarital sex, hypocrites in society, and lies, to trust and anger issues, he spreads understanding and intelligence in a simple form that's incredibly relatable for anyone. Good Run may be my least favorite track, but Raz tackles the hard truth of a breakup, making for another great addition to the collection. Instead of looking at it in a depressing light, he takes a look at what went wrong during the relationship and how to move forward. The chorus is pretty catchy, and yet again, a light synth is the best compliment to his style. The only song with a feature is Sometimes I Don't with Sam LaChow, and the collaboration is another home run from the pair. The beat is hands down my favorite, still incorporating organic sounds with strings, drums, and horns. It's also very interesting how the two tackled the topic of internal struggle between right and wrong. Sam talks about the hardships of his goals and wanting a clear view to follow his dreams, while his college friends are content with hanging out and not making any moves. While Raz, on the other hand, dives into the struggles between being involved in the street life and having to be a bigger man in certain situations. The final track to round out the EP is Formula to Life. Stemming from the title, Raz plays professor and attempts to teach lessons and make recommendations on how to handle people you might meet, their personalities, and your own downfalls. The combination of another light synth, drums, quick hi-hat, and horns give it a floating sensation. If you're expecting party tracks, this isn't the album for you. I, for one, was happy with the step back from the hard club rap and emphasis on lyrics that make you nod your head and feel everything about the music. The delivery, tone, and telling makes for a new and unexpected experience in a realm where we've become comfortable being fed the same thing by different artists. Now, hopefully when someone mentions good music coming out of Seattle, Macklemore isn't the only name that you can relate to the great Northwest.
Thanks for that one, Connor. That's all we have for you viewers tonight. Thanks again for tuning in to SCTV3. I'm Bree Hill.
And I'm Alex Thomas. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.